Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Alright, without further ado, let us dive straight into the recap of Tsukimichi, Moonlit Fantasy Part 25. For those who might have forgotten, in the previous part, Tomoe, Mio, and Makoto successfully rescued the young lady from her attendants, who were forcibly trying to take her back home. After that incident, Tomoe brought the young lady to their inn. Now, let us continue to Part 25. The story begins when Makoto brings the young girl into the inn. Only then is her full identity revealed. She is Osakabe Iroha, the daughter of the city's owner. Tomoe immediately takes over the conversation, introducing themselves as foreign merchants from the Kuzunoha company who are merely heading toward the labyrinth. Of course, this is nothing more than a pleasant cover to hide their true objective. However, from the side, Makoto carefully observes Iroha's behavior and senses that something is off. The way the girl nervously mentions her family name, combined with her deep knowledge of Japanese hero legends that are only known among the noble class in Lorel, leads Makoto to one conclusion. Iroha is most likely not just the daughter of a local landowner, but a princess from a high-ranking noble family. Sometime later, as Iroha begins to grow closer to them, she makes a request that causes everyone to fall silent. She wants someone to accompany her into the hot spring bath. Upon hearing this, danger alarms immediately go off in Makoto's head. He can already imagine how the situation could turn into a legal problem within seconds. Not wanting to take any risks at all, Makoto quickly suggests that Iroha bathe first by herself. However, the situation becomes even more complicated when Iroha approaches Mio and asks her to help remove her clothes. In short, Iroha wants Mio to bathe her. Mio is momentarily stunned. After all, being ordered around by a child is something quite strange for her. From Iroha's manner of speaking, it is clear that she assumes Mio is merely a servant of Makoto and Tomoe, so she feels it is perfectly natural to give her orders. Tomoe, seeing Mio's reaction, lets out a small laugh, clearly enjoying the chaos. Mio then firmly explains that while she does serve Makoto, her position is equal to Tomoe's. She is not anyone's servant. Even so, Iroha does not believe her. In her mind, because Mio is a cook, her status must automatically be lower than Tomoe's. Hearing this, Mio pinches Iroha's cheeks very hard until the girl finally gives up. After that, Iroha turns around and asks Makoto to bathe her instead. Makoto immediately refuses in a panic. He clearly has no desire to get involved in something that strange. When Iroha notices Mio's expression beginning to show irritation, she quickly hides behind Makoto. Tomoe then scolds Mio for frightening Iroha and explains that Iroha is an important person in this city. Hearing this, Makoto becomes slightly puzzled because Tomoe has been unusually cheerful since earlier. He suspects that Tomoe has read something from the memories of Iroha and her group, and whatever it is, it clearly makes her extremely happy. In the end, Tomoe offers to bathe Iroha herself. However, Iroha's face immediately turns bright red. She looks nervous and restless, as if there is something she does not want to admit. With a trembling voice, Iroha begs Tomoe to give up and stop forcing the issue. Her breathing becomes unsteady, and she repeatedly insists that Tomoe is the last person she wants to bathe with right now. She says that she will only be willing to bathe together with Tomoe once her body has matured, around the age of 17 or 18. Only then, when her body has fully grown into that of a woman, will she agree to bathe with Tomoe. For now, with her small body, she feels that it would be far too embarrassing. Tomoe does not understand the reason behind Iroha's uneasiness. She explains that she does not care about the bodies of children. Even if necessary, she is willing to completely close her eyes while bathing Iroha. Iroha continues to stubbornly reject Tomoe's offer. She even firmly tells Tomoe to bathe by herself, making it clear that no matter the reason, she does not want to bathe together with Tomoe. Since the argument fails to reach any agreement, Mio finally steps in. She lifts Iroha's small body and carries her straight toward the bathroom. Tomoe, of course, does not stay still. With steady steps, she grabs Makoto and drags him into the changing room right in front of the open bath. To her, bathing is a matter of freedom and comfort, not something to be dragged out like this. However, Tomoe gives Makoto no chance to escape. On that day, in her view, Makoto will not be able to avoid it. Inside the changing room, the atmosphere turns chaotic. Tomoe suddenly becomes irritated after realizing that Mio is not using the blindfold as agreed. From there, a secret that Makoto has never known until now is revealed. Even if their eyes are covered with cloth, Tomoe and Mio can still see clearly. Tomoe feels that her entire plan has completely fallen apart because of Mio. She originally intended to use the excuse of closing her eyes so that Makoto would not feel embarrassed when she wanted to bathe him. However, due to Mio's carelessness, the secret is exposed and the blindfold strategy can no longer be used. In short, Tomoe loses all the alibis she needs. Makoto finally realizes that the blindfolds do not function at all the way he imagined. On the other side, Iroha continues to refuse to bathe together with Tomoe, and the situation briefly becomes tense again. However, once Mio drags her into the bathroom and everything is forced to proceed as it is, the atmosphere gradually softens. With the presence of a small child, all the awkward tension slowly fades away. What had felt suffocating instead becomes neutral. In the end, Makoto manages to finish his bath safely. Even so, he has to admit that he ends up seeing far more than he originally planned that night. Later that night, Makoto cannot fall asleep. Even though the room is quiet, his thoughts keep spinning. The main reason is Iroha's true identity, which Tomoe has just explained. It turns out that Iroha is the daughter of the Osakabe military family, one of the influential clans in the Kanawi region. That status makes Makoto feel that he must be more cautious with every step he takes. However, Tomoe calmly explains that Iroha is merely one among many princes and princesses. Her position is not as powerful as Makoto imagines. That explanation slightly puts Makoto at ease, but he still feels the need to remain vigilant. Calming Iroha might be easy, since Iroha is very attached to Tomoe. The real problem comes from the older gods, such as Shogetsu. Makoto then resolves to clear up their misunderstanding as soon as possible using the letter of guarantee from Seiritz. He is confident that Seiritz has already spread information about the Kuzunoha company to the major clans. Seiritz is not the type to allow Makoto to enter this country without careful preparation. Suddenly, Tomoe's attention shifts. Her gaze focuses on the corner of the room, exactly where Iroha's katana is placed. Its blade emits a faint glow, like a firefly shining in the darkness. Makoto immediately asks Tomoe to take the sword, without waking Iroha and Mio, who are sleeping. When Tomoe lifts it, Makoto falls silent. He recognizes the shape of the sword, or at least something that closely resembles a legendary blade that should not possibly exist in this world. However, he quickly suppresses his turbulent thoughts and asks Tomoe to return it to its original place. He does not want to think about an even more complicated possibility. After that, Makoto firmly states his decision to meet Shugetsu that very night. Tomoe tries to stop him and suggests waiting until the next day, but Makoto stubbornly insists on going alone in order to reduce the risk of causing even greater trouble. He then leaves the luxurious inn, deliberately turning himself into bait so that Iroha's guards will follow him. That assumption proves to be correct. Not long after he starts walking, the guards appear and immediately drag him away without much explanation. They take him to a dark, empty building with no windows. There, Makoto does not resist much, and his body is tightly bound to a chair. Makoto remains calm, even though his body is restrained. The guards surrounding him press him for answers, demanding to know why he kidnapped Iroha. In a flat tone, Makoto explains that everything is nothing more than a major misunderstanding. To prove it, he asks Akashi, one of Iroha's subordinates, to search his clothes. From there, a special letter from Shiki is discovered. The moment the letter appears, all of Iroha's subordinates are left stunned. Unexpectedly, Shugetsu's attitude changes drastically. From being filled with suspicion, he suddenly shows deep respect. Some of his subordinates protest, suspecting that the letter might be fake, but Shugetsu does not pay them any attention at all. He immediately orders that Makoto's restraints be removed. After Makoto is freed, Shugetsu lets out a heavy sigh and reveals the reason. According to the information now circulating, Makoto is a wise. Makoto is momentarily confused by that title, but he quickly realizes that this must be Seiritz's doing. Seiritz appears to have deliberately spread greatly exaggerated information so that Makoto would receive special treatment in Lorel. Even so, Makoto still feels uncomfortable with that label. Shugetsu hopes that this matter will not drag on, and he declares that the kidnapping incident is considered resolved. Makoto, believing that everything is settled, prepares to take his leave and return to rest. However, before he can take a step, Shugetsu stops him with a very serious expression. Without any hesitation, he begins to reveal the real reason why Iroha came to Mizuha. This is where Makoto is shocked. Shugetsu already knows that Makoto is Izumo's teacher. He continues by stating that Izumo is Iroha's fiancé. This is not because of love, but because of a political arrangement. The marriage is established as a tool to ease the long-standing conflict between the Osakabe clan and the Ikusabe clan. From the moment of her birth, Iroha has been prepared as a balancing bridge between two great clans, bearing a burden that she never even had the chance to choose. Makoto comes to understand just how complicated family politics in Lorel truly are. To some extent, he feels as though some unseen force has deliberately pulled him into the center of this turmoil. Shugetsu then adds that many parties are targeting Iroha. Returning her safely to Kanaoi is not a simple matter, and he himself is struggling to decide on the right course of action. In his confusion, Shugetsu admits that he is grateful to have met Makoto. It is as if the spirits themselves have guided their steps so that they could ask Makoto for help in resolving this situation. Makoto nods, understanding the circumstances. He states that he does not mind cooperating to escort everyone to Kanaoi. However, he firmly clarifies one thing. He will not be involved any further than that. He only promises to escort Iroha because that route happens to align with his own destination. Before the conversation can end, the atmosphere suddenly shifts when three shadows slip inside. Iroha's subordinates prepare to intercept them, but the three figures completely ignore them. Their focus is fixed on a single target, Makoto. Their coordination is extremely precise. From three different directions, they charge at the same time, chanting enhancement magic at terrifying speed. Without hesitation, they draw their daggers toward Makoto. However, that precise attack comes to a complete stop the moment it makes contact with Makoto's magic armor. Behind the eyes of those assassins, Makoto sees something far darker than a mere physical threat. Their eyes are clouded and empty, as if their lives have been stolen by magic. The three girls mutter in hollow voices that Makoto is Tomoki's enemy and must be killed. At that very moment, Makoto understands their origin. They are not merely assassins. They are Tomoki's puppets controlled from afar. In his heart, Makoto coldly mutters that their fate is truly pitiful. The atmosphere in the room instantly turns oppressive. Without even the slightest emotion, without hesitation, Makoto raises his hand. In a single swift motion, he snaps the neck of the assassin coming from the right. Before the others can react, he grips the head of the assassin on the left and smashes it into the wall until it is destroyed. The final assassin still tries to attack, but Makoto fires Brid repeatedly into her chest, creating a massive hole that pierces straight through her body. Within seconds, the deadly threat disappears without a trace. Everything ends in a matter of seconds, in silence, without a single scream. Shugetsu and all of his subordinates stand frozen, their faces pale as they witness the brutal scene before their eyes. They never imagined that the seemingly ordinary merchant they had just suspected would be far more terrifying than any monster. The guards even tremble violently, unable to comprehend how three high-class assassins could be eliminated so effortlessly. Makoto steps closer with steady movements and pulls away the coverings from the assassins' faces. At that moment, his heart shudders. He recognizes them as the girls who were once meant to be exchanged by Tomoki. More victims who have once again been turned into puppets without their own will. After confirming that there are no further threats, Makoto takes his leave and departs from the place just like that, as if nothing had happened. As soon as Makoto leaves, Shugetsu immediately discusses the situation with his subordinates. He emphasizes that Iroha will be far safer if she stays with Makoto. They also reveal that among their ranks, there is someone disguising themselves as Iroha to act as a decoy. This plan is meant to confuse the enemy's pursuit and ensure that the real Iroha can return safely to Kanaoi without interference. Iroha's subordinates continue to debate what has just occurred. They realize that Makoto's abilities are truly abnormal. For them, bringing down even a single high-level assassin is already difficult. Yet Makoto eliminates 3 of them at once within mere seconds, without powerful magic, without injuries, and without any visible effort. When they examine the records of those assassins, a shocking fact is revealed. All 3 possess levels of around 420. That is a level that nearly rivals the power of a major nation. If assassins of this caliber are dispatched, then they are clearly not meant to kill Iroha. There is no reason for nation-class forces to chase a child who serves as a political pawn. Their conclusion changes accordingly. The true target from the very beginning is Makoto. Shugetsu then speaks honestly to his guards. He admits that throughout the time he spent with Makoto, he never once felt any aura of power from him. In fact, that is precisely what makes him even more suspicious. He suspects that Makoto possesses something that conceals his true strength, whether it is a technique, magic, or an ability they have never encountered before. Fear begins to creep through the ranks. It is not only because of Makoto's overwhelming power, but also because of the way he kills. Makoto moves without expression, without anger, and without the slightest emotional fluctuation. There is no killing intent that normally appears when someone intends to take a life. He does it calmly, casually, and cleanly, as if the act is nothing more than a simple routine to him. For guards who have long lived in the world of assassination, that is far more frightening than any great power. They are accustomed to feeling discomfort every time they are forced to kill someone. However, Makoto shows not a single trace of such emotion. A person like that, in their eyes, is not someone who can be considered ordinary. After a long discussion, they finally reach an agreement. For the sake of Iroha's safety, the only viable choice is to follow Shugetsu's plan. Iroha must travel together with Makoto to the city of Kanaoi. Only Makoto is capable of guaranteeing her safety. So, that is the recap of part 25 from Tsukimichi, Moonlit Fantasy.